Katie, and today I'm going to be starting a new little series that will be popping up from time to time here and there, and that is how to become a character. A lot of you have been asking me about this. How can I develop my character on stage? How can I be more involved in the story? So no matter what your role is, big or small, I can help you with that. This is very, very easy, and I know it will benefit you a lot. Now today I'm going to be starting with Nutcracker, obviously. As you can see from all my Nutcracker makeup tutorials, I'm trying to get them all done by the time Nutcracker starts. So I hope this can help you as well. I will be going through all of the Nutcracker roles after I talk a little bit about acting in the intro, but if you'd like, you can fast forward to your role in particular by just looking at the times below. But first I want to talk to you a little bit about acting in general on stage in a ballet. Now, many actors, when they go to drama school, and there are different thoughts of this and different methods of teaching, they are told 5 key questions to ask themselves when they get a role, when they get a script, to help develop their character. So these 5 questions are, who am I? Where am I going? Who am I going to meet when I get there? What do I want? And what extent am I willing to go to get that? Now, there is a 6th question that I'm going to add to this for all of you dancers, and that is, what is the music telling me? The music is your guide no matter what ballet you're in, what you're doing, because a choreographer first listens to the music before he even, creates a step. And you can take the exact same steps and put it to 2 different pieces of music and it will look like an entirely different ballet. So the music is your guide to your character. What is it telling you? Make notes of what you hear and certain little accents and little notes and things. Now, being a pianist and being that I know music and I know scores, I'm very in tune to that already. And so there are little notes here and there that I often hear that I like to accent no matter what the choreography is. Now, the 5 other questions, who am I, where am I going, etc. These questions you can ask yourself no matter what ballet you're doing. Is there a story? Is there not a story? It doesn't matter, you can create one. So no matter what character you are, again, big or small, these are going to help you. Now I'm going to go through all of the roles in Nutcracker, but I'm not going to answer these questions for you. I'm just going to sort of talk about them and get you thinking, because these questions are for you to answer on your own and come up with your own story. Now, starting with Clara, she's obviously a young girl who's having a Christmas party who gets a Nutcracker and goes to the land of sweets. All of you know that since probably you were about age 4. So now if you are cast in the role of Clara, I really want you to start breaking it down and thinking further. Who are you? Obviously you're a Clara, but how old are you? Where do you live? Are you in London? Are you in Germany, as is the original story? Maybe you're in Russia. Think about where your Clara lives. What is she like? Is she feisty? Or maybe she's an innocent? Or maybe she's a little mischievous or curious? Come up with different adjectives for your version of Clara. And in each scene, think about that. In the battle scene, how is she? Is she really frightened? Is she more concerned for the Nutcracker? Or is she more concerned that the mice are going to get her? Again, you have to come up with a little more of a story other than just, okay, I'm in a battle scene and I know what's going to happen because I rehearsed this last week and the Nutcracker is going to win and everything's going to be great. You have to come up with a story. That way you can have dialogue and this backstory playing in your head, and it makes you far more interesting to the audience. When you get to the land of sweets, are you in awe by it? Are you want to live there? Maybe you're a little bit nervous about it. Again, you have to come up with these adjectives and the story. And it can change every night. Make it a different story every single night. That's fine. This is your story. So start thinking of your character, especially if you're Clara, in terms of that. How do you feel towards your Nutcracker? Are you in awe of him? Or are you in love with him? Or are you a pair? Are you a partnership? Is this a dream come true for you? There are so many little aspects that you can create your story as Clara, because it is your job to carry the ballet and transport the audience to the land of sweets. Now, exactly the same thing applies if you are a girl or a boy in the party scene. Ask yourself, how old am I? Where am I from? Am I German? Am I Spanish? Come up with a story. Are you excited to be going to this Christmas party? Are you a little apprehensive? Are you shy? Are you going to get to see your friends? Maybe you don't like all the people there. Are you more excited about the presents? Even if you're a person in the party scene, have your own story. Because if you were in real life, you'd have your own story. What's your own story? So you have to put yourself in it and yet come up with a character. Same as the parents in the party scene. Maybe you're an aristocrat. Maybe you're going to this party because you have to, or maybe you're very, very excited to go to this party because you're in the holiday spirit. Again, there's so many different things you can do, and your role is important. Every single person is important, because otherwise, if you just depend on the leads, it's not that great of a ballet. But if everybody's doing their job, even the parents in the party scene, you can really get a lot out of it. So again, look at your costume. What are you wearing? You know, who are you partnered with? If you're a child in the party scene, who is your brother? Who is your sister? What do you get for a present? If you get a present on stage, there's so many different things you can come up with. Now, the ballet scene is a key point in Nutcracker because that's where the game changes. That's where he becomes a prince. That's where the mouse king or queen in some versions dies. So if you are a mouse, make a character for your mouse. Are you the sly one? Are you the quick one? Are you the kind of slow one? Maybe you're a little slow on the uptake. Maybe you're kind of the one that's lost in space, like my beloved dog Carson. He's a little, not the brightest crayon in the box. Love you, Carson. But you have to come up with a story for your mouse, your particular mouse, because that way each one is different and it's exciting. And even, you know, a little mouse in the corner doing something interesting can really bring the whole thing together. If you're the mouse king, if you're the mouse queen, again, who are you? How are you? How did you get to be like this? Are you cursed? Were you born like this? You know, this sounds silly to other people, but it can really help you become a full person and a full character on the stage. Are you more concerned with revenge? Are you more concerned with just killing the Nutcracker? What did he do to you? Why are you here? You know, it can just be something in your own head, but it can really, really help your performance. Same thing if you're a soldier. Are you a proud soldier? Are you fulfilling your duty? Maybe you're scared of advice. You know, you have to come up with something that works for you. Now for the snow scene. I can pretty much guarantee you that every female dancer somewhere has danced in the waltz with the snowflakes. At New York City Ballet, we did 46 performances of Nutcracker, and in your very first couple of years in the company, you do every single one. You know, the principals get to alternate, they don't have to dance every night, but the young members of the company, especially the girls, they dance every single performance of Nutcracker. My very first year in the company, as an apprentice, I danced Snow and the core of Spanish. And I danced it 46 times in a row. And let me tell you, if I didn't come up with a story, if I didn't have something else in my head, I probably would have gone crazy. Every night before we would go on for Snowflakes, all the girls would get together and we'd decide what the story was for the evening. Some of the examples we would come up with: let's be Disney princesses, pick your Disney princess. Let's be jewels, you know, pick a jewel. Or, oh, tonight we're kids playing in the snow. Or tonight we're mermaids. I mean, something that had no, you know, it didn't change the choreography. The steps were exactly the same. The music was exactly the same. The audience had no idea, but it kept it interesting for us. And it just was a mindset thing. Let's face it, if you pretend you're Princess Jasmine dancing waltz with the snowflakes, or you're a kid playing in the snow, it's going to be entirely different, even though the steps are the same. So it just kind of kept it fun, it kept it interesting, so we didn't lose our minds, basically. So if you're a snowflake, you know, if all the other snowflakes don't want to do that, that's fine. Come up with a story for yourself. What kind of snowflake are you? Are you a pretty one? Are you a small one? Are you a fast one? Or like we did, come up with a different thing every night. Say, tonight I'm Princess Jasmine dancing waltz with the snowflakes. How would you dance it? Tonight I'm a little kid dancing waltz with snowflakes. Obviously you need to use your good technique. That's not what I'm getting at here. It's just a mind game. It keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. Now obviously the snowflakes are one of the most beautiful parts of Nutcracker. So you really need to make sure that you are in line, know the steps, have good technique, you know, stay in your formations. But it can get tiring, especially if you have a lot of performances. So change up the story in your head and it'll really help you. Now the divertissements in Act 2, they're people obviously, but they represent things. So you're not going to have as much of a story as you would if you were Clara, the Nutcracker, you know, Sugar Plum Fairy. But that's where you create your own story. So Spanish, obviously. Spanish represents hot chocolate. So ask yourself, what does hot chocolate mean to you? Do you like it spicy? Do you like milk chocolate? Do you like dark chocolate? Do you like white chocolate? Just come up with your version of hot chocolate. Think about the colors of your costume. Most are red, gold, browns. So you have to think about your music, your costume. Maybe you're a Spanish princess. Maybe you're a flamenco dancer. You know, there's so many different things you can come up with in just the little divertissement of Spanish. Same thing with Arabian. You know, Arabian represents coffee. So is yours smooth? Is yours a little bit feisty? Maybe you're a little seductive. Maybe you're a Middle Eastern princess. You know, again, with your Arabian, think about your music, think about your costume. Chinese, it's bright, it's fun, it's fast. You know, Chinese tea. So what kind of tea are you? Pick your tea that night. Tonight I'm going to be vanilla chai, or tonight I'm going to be a berry tea. You know, this all sounds very, very silly to someone who wouldn't understand this. But to you, I'm hoping this is making sense, and it will really help you get excited about your role. So with tea, think about your costume. Again, most are yellow and red and gold, occasionally different colors. Now the Russian divertissement is a little bit different because there are different interpretations of it. You know, the classic Russian ballets, as well as the Royal Ballet, most of the European companies, the Russian divertissement is Russian. But for example, in New York City Ballets, it's candy cane. So you have to kind of, again, think about if you're a candy cane, okay? So what kind of candy cane are you? What color are your stripes? What do you want to say? What flavor are you? Now, if your Russian divertissement is Russian, how are you going to be? Are you a Cossack dancer if you're a man, or are you a Russian princess if you're a girl? I know a lot of the Russian divertissements have one lead man and a lot of girls. So, you know, create a story for yourself. It doesn't matter if you are in the last row, to the right, in the back. You know, it doesn't matter because you are there to dance, you are there to have fun, create your own story. Now the French divertissement. Most people call it Marzipan. A lot of people call it Mirliton. There are different things. I believe in the Bolshoi. It's a pot of dough with a little sheep. So that again depends. Ask yourself the 5 questions. If you're Marzipan, how sweet are you? What color candy are you? You know, what do you want to convey through your music, through your story? If you really get your brain going, you can really get a lot out of it. It's just about coming up with your own personal story. And nobody needs to know your own personal story. This is entirely for you. Now, Waltz of the Flowers is fairly simple because our favorite thing to do, and I danced flowers many times, was pick a flower that evening. What flower were you? Oh, I'm a rose. Oh, I'm a daisy. And how would a daisy dance? How would a rose dance? Again, I probably danced 30 performances of flowers probably my 2nd year. And I had to come up with a story every single time. You can do the same thing you did as a snowflake. Are you a Disney princess that night? Are you a jewel that night? You know, different things. But our favorite thing to do was come up with what flower am I that evening. And all of us would be different flowers, and it would change, and it would make it interesting. Yes, if you have a dewdrop, you have to be in line. You have to make sure you don't hit your dewdrop and stay in line and keep your technique strong. But again, it's about a mental game for yourself. And all of you can get together, as we did in Snowflakes, and say, okay, tonight we are going to be poppies. Tomorrow we're going to be tulips. You know, what color tulips? Maybe you're different colored tulips. So that's something that can really help you get through 46 performances of flowers if you have that many. Now, if you're dancing the role of Dewdrop, she is obviously the head or the lead of the Waltz of the Flowers. She sometimes is portrayed as a flower. I know in some cases she's called the Rose Fairy, but ordinarily she's called Dewdrop. Now, if you're dancing that, think about your costume, think about your lighting, think about your music, think about, you know, what do I want to be that night? I am the second in command under the Sugar Plum Fairy. Maybe you're a pretty dewdrop. Maybe you're a beautiful dewdrop. Maybe you're a little bit of a feisty dewdrop. You know, think about what you can convey through the Waltz of the Flowers. Or pick a different flower every night. As I talked about the flowers, maybe you're the lead rose or you're the red rose and they're all the pink roses. The Waltz of the Flowers is a very, very iconic piece of music, and the dewdrop choreography tends to be difficult. So oftentimes, if you can get out of your head how hard it is and come up with a character and ask yourself those 5 or 6 questions, it can help with the steps. It can alleviate the stress of the steps. Now, if you're playing the Nutcracker, if you are a guy watching this, think about the type of Nutcracker you want to be. Are you more of a suitor to Clara? Are you more of a soldier who just happens to be in this situation and then fall in love with her. Maybe you're not in love with her at all. Some versions, the Nutcracker is not in love with Clara, and he takes her on this journey. So ask yourself those 6 questions and you can develop your character. Now, last but not least is the Sugar Plum, obviously, and her Cavalier. And this is the perfect role to ask yourself those 6 questions. What type of Sugar Plum are you? Are you more of a motherly figure who encourages them to be here and is very supportive? Or are you more of a monarch type figure? This is my land, these are my subjects, and remain a little more regal. What are your attitudes towards everybody else on the stage? Think about your costume. Is it more of a princess type tutu, or is it more sugary? Maybe you're a little bit sweeter. You have to take in all of these things to account. Think about the person you're dancing with, your partner. How does he act like? Does he treat you like you're the princess and he is just the cavalier there, or are you in a partnership together? Maybe it's a love story. So again, you have to come up with your version of your character because it will enrich your performance, and the audience, without really knowing it, will get so much more out of it because it will allow you to have little subtle moments that might not have been there before. No matter what role you're doing, I guarantee you if you ask yourself these 6 questions, you can create a much bigger picture of your character and be much more fulfilled as a performer. Now, obviously, I just sort of touched on these characters here and there because I don't want to answer these questions for you. That's entirely up to you. It's about you creating your own story. So I hope I just gave you some things to think about. Now, in the future with these, I will probably break down more specific roles, maybe just Aurora or just Giselle or just a garland girl in The Sleeping Beauty or a fairy in The Sleeping Beauty, whatever you all want me to break down. This was just sort of an overview just to get you thinking, not just about your Nutcracker roles, but any role you do. So ask yourself those 6 questions and I guarantee you'll have a much more fulfilling performance. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Thanks again for watching, and here are some more videos you might enjoy. Please also feel free to subscribe.